This episode of the SwitchCast is produced by Jacob Prow, our honored Patreon member and most regal Switch King.
All hail the Switch King!
Hi everybody, I'm KC.
And I'm JV.
And this is the SwitchCast, the podcast for the Nintendo Switch Brawler. And we're back, and we are, well, I guess we're just relieved to be back and doing what we love, and that's podcasting about our favorite video game system with everybody here. How you been, JV? How was your week off from podcasting with me?
You know, it was actually incredibly busy. There was a lot of stuff that I think both of us really had to take care of. You on the more, vacation side, me on the more family business side. But overall, I do miss podcasting. Well, when I was on Wednesday, I missed podcasting. I felt like I had a lot to say.
Yeah, I always do that because I try during the week. I always try to keep notes on things I want to remember to say. Like comedians, I know they keep, or other people too, but they keep a notebook by the bed, and if they wake up with an idea or a joke or
you just have to jot it down before
jot it down. Right, and then you never remember it again. I always do that too. I keep a note app in my phone, and I always try to write down things like, oh, I gotta say this on the next podcast. And I realize how much of a backlog of that I had over the weeks since I didn't have last Wednesday to unload all that. So I'm really ready to talk to everybody, and I had to edit some things out because I can't fit everything into this episode, because we are trying to make this a little something extra for everybody since we did miss out last week. But we did plan something special. Just yesterday I did an interview with the developer from SpiritSphere DX, and you're going to hear me talk to him in one of the segments of the show. So we're going to throw that in as a little bonus, something that I was able to put together for you all today.
I'm glad that we were able to reach out to them and get that arranged.
Yeah, it's fun. It's been a little while, and I'm always trying to find more interviews, so we'll see how many more I can get in the weeks to come. We also have some fun stuff planned for the next couple of weeks. I've been talking about forever, trying to get the tournaments going again, and there's been some community tournaments going on for other games already, but I've been dying to get the Mario Tennis tournaments and Pocket Rumble, since that came out this week, and I'm not wasting any time getting these tournaments going. So I'm just wanted to let everyone know right now, next weekend, all right? So not this weekend of the 14th and 15th, but the 21st and 22nd, I want to do a tournament each day. So next Saturday is Pocket Rumble Saturday. That's going to be the 21st, and we're going to do a tournament then, and I will post on the Facebook group and in the Discord chat all the entry and the rules we'll do for that. And then the next day will be Mario Tennis Sunday, and we're going to do a tournament for that within the group, and we'll figure out the prizes and all that. But I'm going to post again on the Facebook and Discord. So if you're hearing this and you're interested, you have at least a week's notice to know that we're going to do this, and we'll set the times and everything in the days to come. So look forward to those things.
Honestly, this has been a long time coming. Ever since both of those games were announced for the Switch, we had plans to set up a tournament for them. We knew these were tournament games, and we were going to do it. So I'm glad we have a quick turnaround this time.
Yes, right. And I did want to say that maybe if it's in the community, you won't have any of those super uber players who are just going to school everybody, but apparently, well, at least one of our members is already making a name for himself in Mario Tennis, yes?
I have to give mad props, a call out on the podcast, to Dragonflame232 for representing the SwitchCast on the world stage for tennis.
Yes. So he is, I swear I saw him in number 1, but I see the picture, he shared with the community that he has TSC, representing SwitchCast, Dragon, on the world rankings for Mario Tennis Aces, and he's number 2 in the world, with a 90% win ratio, and just a few days ago he also showed the comparison. Every name on there was a Japanese name, and he's like this now. He's number 2 with an English name, which is just also representing the country. You know, he's got America
Yeah.
up there too. And all the more he's showing off the SwitchCast. We are very honored. You've brought much honor to us, brother.
It's funny because Dragonflame has been a really prominent part of our tournaments, and he's been kicking butt in a lot of the competitions that we hold. So, you know, if there's ever a situation where a rival podcast, rival gaming group comes in and tries to show us up, we'll just show them Dragonflame. We'll just sick them on them, and I'm sure we will win everything from there. Cause we have a dragon.
I love the 180 ways we think, cause that's great. That's a great way to look at this. I look at it as, if you join our tournaments and you want to get better as a player, don't be afraid of the fact that we have like some good players in the community, cause he is an extremely friendly and approachable person, and he's in the Discord chat. So if you want to get better at Mario Tennis Aces, you can play him in the tournament and you can get tips and you can learn from him by actually speaking in a way that you can't with any other of those great players that you might play online. So consider this an asset to the community. We have a great player who might want to share a little, some pointers and some strategy and help us all become better. So that's the way I look at it internally. I love how you look at it the other way around, is how to externally, how to project power upon others.
Well, to be fair, we do also have just a lot of really wonderful community members in the Discord chat who are just great at the various different games on the Nintendo Switch. I can think of different games that people are tied to that are really good at, and if I want to improve on a specific game, they're always just approachable and willing to help out. So
yeah, I spent about an hour last night actually playing Decoy DW in Pocket Rumble, and he's a great player, and he seems to have experience with everybody, but I definitely feel like playing him upped my game throughout the night, so much so that actually my fingers were sore today after playing the game. And it's just really good playing somebody that you can then discuss, say like, ooh, you really were, wrecking me with that character, and he could tell you why, or what he saw that I was missing, and I could tell him why I was able to break him on this character, maybe, just being able to converse with them afterwards. Some good players that can analyze and improve. It's really fun.
That's just such a valuable experience in any game, really, that you want to compete in. Being able to bounce ideas, bounce off performance directly and immediately with people is it's really helpful to get better.
And to note, for people who are not into competitive stuff, we have some stuff going on for you as well, because just today, Darkus established an official Minecraft server for the SwitchCast group. He notes, though, please do be respectful for other players' houses and builds in the game. So please go into it with a non-trolly mentality. Of course, I think it goes without saying with our group. So, but I will post a link to the code in the show notes if anyone wants to join that server. And of course, there's the Minecraft chat room in our Discord chat in case you want to also converse with the other people who are going to be in there as well. So thank you, Darkus, for setting that up. So we have a lot of stuff to go over this week. So let's go into the game time. We're going to talk about all the stuff we've been playing, and then we're going to put in the interview with Martino Wullems from Eendhoorn Games, and then we're going to go into the news and the community pulse, and we're going to hear what questions you guys had for us this week. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the game time.
All right, let's do it.
All right, game time, and we're going to start things off a sharp right hook to the face, because I've been itching to talk about this game on the show for so long. We really have to finally discuss Pocket Rumble.
Oh my gosh, this is a long time coming.
It was the game that we weren't even sure, or I knew it was coming, but many people had lost faith, and it'd been pushed back for various reasons, and all the the online code and adapting it for the Switch, and just
this was one of the games that was announced even before the Nintendo Switch came out, right?
Yes, right. It was supposed to be out, I think, at the end of the first month of the Switch. I think it was supposed to come out, or one of the first 2 months.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I feel like it was going to be one of the first, if not the first, fighting games to come out on the Switch now. And now that it's out, a lot of fighting games have come since then, which is fine, but it's quite a long delay.
It has been a long delay. Now, whether or not it's been worth it, that's another question. Though it's definitely got more competition, so maybe the bar has been raised, probably for what people have been expecting for it, and the anticipation of it mounting. But
right,
let's parse out everything about this game and see, what has been exciting us, maybe what we feel it might need a little more polish still, and overall how we've enjoyed it so far.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it just feels nice to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I've been holding back forever. The thing is, when a game takes this long, and I had the feeling that I would like this game, and it hit a lot of the check boxes for a game Casey would like,
Right.
Like it has the retro graphics done well, but it still has like fast, fluid animations. It's a good fighting game, but it's a fighting game that has simple controls. Again, if you guys haven't heard me talk about this forever, it's a basic premise. It's a fighting game that doesn't use complicated button inputs for the special moves. There's just whether you hold down and left or down and right and hold A or B, and that's how you do all your special moves. And then you have your normals, but there's only light and hard attacks, and then whether you hit light and hard together. So there's really only need for 2 buttons and the D-pad to actually do all the moves in the game, and there's like nothing complicated about that there.
Right. The actual inputs of the moves are quite simple, and it's something that's so easy to explain, especially to beginners, which is something that this game is really pushing for. It's trying to be as accessible to people who are beginners to the genre, it seems.
That's probably the best thing for us to start talking about this game here, all right?
Yeah.
Is the fact that it is designed to be this accessible game that can bring in people who aren't hardcore fighters into the genre. And while now the gameplay mechanics, I feel very strongly do that. In fact, already this week, lots of people have been picking it up and have been enticed by that promise and have been playing it. And I've already gotten more games of this with more people than I ever did with Pokken. Honestly, it's been very gratifying in that regard, that I feel like there's already a strong interest from less experienced fighting game players.
But what I also want to add to that, and I know we bring up price usually later in a review, but the $9 price point for Pocket Rumble is also a really big factor into how accessible the game can be. It's something that someone who isn't really a big fan of fighting games can throw $10 at and not really feel like they're losing out on money or got gypped just because they didn't enjoy the game.
Yes, totally. You can just say if someone's even mildly interested in it, or just, that you could tell them, hey, download it on Switch or on Steam, because you can play cross-platform with this here. So you can get it either way, and you'll be able to play. And $10, you don't feel like you have a heavy investment, but there's a very big possible payoff if you do like it. So you can easily recommend it to people.
That's definitely a big difference that I want to emphasize between, let's say, Pokken Tournament and this. Pokken Tournament is a big $60 game, and that is a much bigger monetary investment than $10.
That may have been what held back. That might be why it was so hard for me to get people in the community to play it, is that they didn't want to invest $60 in a game that they might not get the full, meat out of it. They might not have played it to that, the level of, that they got into it, that they mastered it, or that they even played the one-player mode all the way through,
Yeah, exactly.
Now, holding back right now, I do have to say though, and there are some things that do hold back the accessibility already though so far, and it feels like it's something that could be easily fixed, and I'm a little surprised that the tutorials of the game so far don't really deliver in what I was expecting in terms of explaining and teaching players about this game.
Yeah, I know you've been following the game quite a bit more, like over the past year or so, but I know I haven't been keeping an eye on videos and stuff as much as you for this game. And when I was trying to find a tutorial, I was actually a little confused by the menu.
Yeah, like just going into the what do they even call it in there? Like they call it the tutorial? Is it the training mode?
What was weird is that once you click on that menu, it gives you the selection of all the characters that you can pick from. And if there was a specific character that you wanted to learn, you weren't allowed to select that character until you chose the middle option,
the random,
to get you started on the random section.
Yeah, because the middle options, you have to pick where the random character selection is, and then they teach you all the basics that are the universal like rules to the game. But I didn't even notice that at first. I just thought, maybe something's glitched, or I have to unlock the lessons. I think that was called the lessons mode. And I just didn't even touch it at first because I didn't know what to do. It didn't tell me you have to start with picking the random button.
Yeah, and I feel like it would be pretty simple to fix that just by automatically sending you to the basic tutorial and then letting you choose the characters afterwards.
Right, yeah, like as soon as you hit the lessons, it should have just thrown you directly into the general tutorial, and then after you finish the general tutorial on how to do moves in the game period, then do the character select for all this character specific abilities and stuff.
And I know a pretty common concern within the tutorial itself was how ambiguous some of the inputs were.
I got the impression that whoever wrote it or planned it was in the mindset that like things were obvious to them, but they didn't realize, oh right, I'm writing this for someone who knows nothing about this game yet, doesn't know that the basic controls are to hold this button for this long, or what do they call that when you pre-input your next move, when you cue a move?
Yeah,
buffered inputs, yeah.
Buffered
like even what those terms are. I just feel like it should have even started with an explanation as like a little box. Instead of just showing you what moves they want you to do right off the bat, give me a paragraph. Give the player a paragraph that says like, this is how, this is what Pocket Rumble is about. It's a game where all the characters use the same exact inputs for all their moves and, something like that. Just to show someone who's just bought this game and didn't hear this review from us, or let them know what this game is about without them having to find out elsewhere.
As much as we're ragging on the tutorial, this is just the tutorial for the game. So once you actually learn the inputs and figure out how your characters move, this becomes pretty much a non-issue.
It is only a tutorial and it's not the biggest deal, but I do feel like it was important because when people were downloading this, I feel like I saw a lot of posts on Reddit and a lot of people even talking in the Discord chat about how they didn't know how to do any moves in the game. They had no idea how to play the game, basically, which can be a very big detriment to a game that is about introducing new players. I don't want this game to frustrate someone who just downloaded it and just be like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and just quit.
And me, I've played lots of fighting games over the years and have actually gotten pretty competitive in a couple of them. And I was kind of a little confused with the tutorial as well. So imagine someone who has absolutely no fighting game experience. Right. It can be really tricky. So ultimately, if this is something that you're interested in and you have no experience with fighting games in the past, definitely ask questions in the Discord chat or look up a guide online. It'll be very helpful to get you started.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big part about fighting games is that they are so intrinsically tied to the communities behind them. More than most other games, it is about that community, playing with people learning, trading, secrets and combos with each other. That is a big part of it. So definitely take advantage of ours or any other community that you wish to find about this game, because that's where you're going to get all this info from anyway. But yeah, it would have been nice if the tutorial was a little more explanatory about these sort of things. But we can move on, I guess, from the tutorial. The game itself now. Let's just talk about the characters and the actual interactions and the battle itself, the core gameplay of this here. How happy are you with the diversity of the character cast here?
So, I believe there's only 8 characters total, and at first I kind of had a bit of an issue with that because there was, obviously 8 characters is a little bit slim for a standard fighting game, but again, once I took into the perspective that this is a $9 game, it's solid fundamentally with its gameplay, and they are promising to introduce more characters in the future, it's something that I got over.
Yeah, there is definitely confirmed the 9th character, Morgana, is going to be added, and they're going to have one big update coming up in the near future. And once we get all those, I think Morgana and some boss characters for the solo mode are going to come out too. But yeah, so there are 8 characters.
I really like that the characters are kind of based on pretty standard tropes within the fighting game genre, and that seems to be completely intentional and something that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, so we have the puppet character Keiko. We have I like Parker has been the guy I've been really maining. He's the guy with the parry ability, and he sets up the stage traps basically with these orbs that he can cause shocks.
Right.
We got your Shoto, your basic Ryu and Tenchi, and I don't know. Now Hector, what would you call? Is he like the poker? Is he like the speed character?
Yeah, he's one of those fast attack poke characters, and he utilizes a samurai, which is a really cool aesthetic that I always really dig.
He is a Mexican cowboy samurai. I think that is such a cool, I'm guessing he's Mexican. He has the mask on. He has like the bandit mask and a cowboy hat on. But he just seems like what a gorgeous combination of things. I just think he has such cool style that he can merge all those aspects together.
The characters pull from the tropes of the fighting game genre, but they're definitely still really interesting. I do like that Keiko, her puppet that she controls is a little tiny adorable cat that walks on the floor, but when she attacks with the cat, it's like an eldritch creature that's attacking you, like just some sort of Lovecraftian abomination, and that's super cool. So there's a character in here called Naomi, and her design is, like a classic SNK brawler type character.
She's 100% female Terry Bogard.
Yeah, and what I think is super cool is that people often mistake her for a guy.
Yes, right.
Because they expect, Terry Bogard. But no, it's Naomi, and she's just as awesome.
Well, one definite to come, and more I think will be coming over time, because I know they had the crossover characters that they promised in the Kickstarter. We're going to get Geiger. I think they have the Nidhogg characters, the fencers from there. There's actually a whole bunch, but I'm not sure when they're coming or not. I just know Morgana is coming definitely in the first update. Now, how do you feel about right now the balance of the characters at this moment?
I do like that the special abilities are really easy to pull off. It's just a down left or down right tap, the move pool of a specific character is accessible to any beginner. Now, I do have quibbles with the health system, and I think that is kind of what makes me a little bit more apprehensive, what makes it actually a little bit tricky for beginners to get into. So, if you guys don't already know, Pocket Rumble has a segmented fixed health system. So, I believe you have 12 segments for your health per character, and each hit that you take always gets rid of one segment, regardless of whether it's a poke or a big heavy hit or a special move, with very specific exceptions. But with that in mind, I kind of feel like it's prohibitive in a sense that the length of a combo becomes so much of what you can do. And so much of how much damage a character deals. Do you know what I'm saying, Casey?
I kind of see you saying, yes. It definitely is like there are moves that are just a single quick poke that's easy to hit, and that one quick, easy to hit poke will do just as much damage as maybe a hard punch or something like that, right? That might have a short range or whatever.
Like in standard fighting games, those poke moves are essentially what you use to test an opening. And then once you get that opening, then you can follow up with maybe your stronger, more risky moves. But since in this game, everything is segmented equally, each of your pokes deal just as much damage as any of your other special heavy hitting moves. And then that causes longer combo strings to provide a fixed amount of damage. That's something that I have a little bit of a qualm with. And when it comes to beginners, they're not going to have as much experience stringing those combos together as a experienced player would.
All right, and I get what you're saying with that, and I that is probably part and parcel, like it's part of the trade-off for the simpler health system that you can just say like, all right, he has 2 things left. I know exactly what move or pair of moves I need to finish him off, rather than, ooh, I see some vague amount of his bar left. Will I be able to finish him with one more fireball, or am I going to have to follow it up with something? You know, like it is a trade-off. I do think they also worked in some other ways to compensate for that aspect of it. The fact that some attacks do have in one attack 2 hits to them. Like Tenshi's Blade Kick is 2 hits if you can get it off. It does do 2 damage. And then we have the Grappler, who has 1 throw that is a 4-hit combo just as soon as you hit with the 1 throw, right? So it does the 4 damage. And there's other trade-offs too, like the pokes usually don't allow for follow-up attacks. Like I know that like Hector, he has that really good upward slash attack that doesn't really allow for too many follow-ups, but it can hit really easily. Whereas let's say like Parker, he has that, his special, if he electrocutes you, sure, it only does 1 damage, but it paralyzes you for a few seconds so that you can follow it up with his other attacks that combo pretty easily. So there are ways they compensate for the damage being the same, but sure, the damage is the same, but there's other aspects like the range of the attacks, and the ability to combo follow up with them. Right.
And yeah, in very specific situations, certain attacks do have, take out multiple segments. I just wish the segmented system could be fine, sure, but I do wish maybe there was just a bit more granularity to the number of segments.
Maybe you think they could up it to like 15 or 20?
Yeah, like, I'm sure they could double it so they could still have a segment, but less, strong attacks can deal a full 2, while poke attacks can deal 1. And that's kind of something that's fixed. Because for a character like Hector, his primary situation is that he has high priority, fast releasing moves, but his attacks don't really combo as well to each other, except for very specific combos. His shtick is that every single time he uses his special move, he takes 1 segment of damage. So whenever he does one of his moves, he has to invest a bit more, and then later he can heal himself back up, and that's kind of his mechanic. However, his super special poke moves deal just as much damage as anyone else's normal. And that's something that the style of character they're trying to replicate usually isn't a problem in other systems, because those special moves are usually slightly stronger than a standard hit from another character.
I see what you're saying. So yeah, it is harder to finely tune a character's strength with, whereas normally like the easiest way to tune a certain attack to be more balanced is to like increase its damage by like just a little bit. Like, it does, instead of 200 damage, it does 205 damage, which can add up over time and stuff. Right. But in this game, you can't really tune that. So it's one less knob for them to twist to really balance the characters out.
Yeah. And as I said previously, I feel like having just a few more segments to allow for that additional granularity would really help.
That is a fair analysis. That's it's a fair thing. I'm pretty sure they picked the number more based on
visibility, maybe?
Visibility. Yeah. I think that's the number one thing they like. What can people easily keep track of without having to like really get distracted from the action? They could just easily see, I have 2 hit points left, and So it's part of the trade-off, and it's a fair critique to say that you would appreciate more segments to the hit bar.
Right. But that does not discount the fact that there is a significant benefit to being able to visualize the damage that each character has in an instant. And that's what segmenting allows. And that's an advantage that this game has over some others that I do appreciate. It's just, there's a consequence to that advantage, and it's something that is built into the system, and you have to consider it.
All right, so how much online play have you actually gotten in this game right now?
Oh yeah, I played a decent amount of online games, and I have to say, overall, I've actually liked how quickly you can get into an online match. There's no weird rigmarole to try to figure out which lobby you have to join and which ranking or which global region you have to join. It's all just hop online, play against people, boom, it's pretty quick.
There have been pretty fast. I like how they let you see the ping of your opponent so you can decide whether or not you want to fight
Play
them
against
or if
them
you
or
think
not.
that they're or whether you think they're going to have a bad internet connection. You're like, nah, I'm not even going to bother with this guy.
I've been finding myself rejecting a couple people online because I've been seeing a lot of opponents that have high pings. And I can tell you right now, playing against a character or playing against a player who has high ping is a pretty unenjoyable experience. And that applies to any fighting game, not just this one.
Right. So it's nice that they let you see. I haven't had too many high ping matches, and even when it's like moderate, I think that this is what they really put the effort in, is that GGPO online netcode they use for the battles. And it's really been designed to optimize to keep things as smooth as possible for the battle. And I think that it has paid off here in that I feel like almost every battle I've been in has been extremely smooth. I've never felt that. Like, one of the big things I noticed when I played something else, like even Street Fighter or Pokken or whatever, was that I felt when I learned the timing of certain combos or moves in training mode, I always felt when I went online, or even when I played local wireless, I always felt that the timing was slightly different due to whatever slight lag issues. And I never could pull off the same combos online that I practiced in either one player or training mode. This, I don't have that. I totally feel like everything works exactly as I did when I was playing it offline, which makes my training feel like it's more effective.
I feel like this game really accommodates the potential for lag because of how big of a buffer you have with the combos. I don't know if we mentioned this previously, but the combo system in this game is really forgiving. If you're in the middle of the animation for one move, you can automatically queue up the input for the next move, and at the closest opportunity, that move will come out. So you have a very wide margin to pull off your moves, and that really helps when there's lag or any delays online. That's true.
That is, it keeps that, and it also means that the game really is focused on you just knowing and being able to decide what move I want to do and not have to worry so much about remembering the button inputs or having the finger dexterity to actually execute the moves you want. If you know the move you want to do, and you have a very low bar of dexterity required, just, I hit back left and B and I hold B, the move will come out, and it takes very little dexterity to actually do. It's really about just knowing the move you want to do and hitting the buttons for it, which is which I think is what excites me, and I save a lot of time. I probably wouldn't even be playing the game online yet. I probably, if it was a typical fighting game where I had to learn button combos, I would still just be in training room for the next week and a half, just making sure I can do everything I want to do when I want.
Right. And overall, I think GGPO, if a fighting game is confirmed to be utilizing the GGPO client for netcode, you're generally going to have a good time online. It's something that I really hope spreads throughout the industry.
Now, I know that you said that you had some reservations about the ranking system?
Yes. So, when it comes to online matchmaking, the only way that you could be matchmade against random people online is through the ranked system. So they don't have any unranked matchmaking whatsoever. Every single game you play online against random folks, will add or take away from your ranking score. And that's something that I wasn't too big of a fan.
I know that you're usually pretty protective of your rank, and you, even like in Pokken, you if you had a really good win percentage, you were like, ooh, I don't want to like lose my 100%. I don't want to play ranked for a while. Or you're pretty protective of your score in these games.
When it comes to my rank, a lot of systems utilize ranked scores for matchmaking, and that ranked score allows you to pair up with people of a similar skill level. However, when it comes to online competitive fighting games, I definitely want to get practice learning a character against humans before I start, actually competing and risking my rank based on that.
I see what you're saying, because especially if you're learning a new character, like I said, I played Parker all day yesterday, and I felt confident. I learned him from playing online, and I actually got my rank pretty decently high with him. And then I'm like, okay, I want to learn Subject 11. Oh, then I saw what you're saying. I'm like, now my rank's really high with Parker, but I have a really low, like I have no experience with Subject 11 yet, and I'm going to be playing really good players, and I'm just going to I'm going to have to play them until my rank gets beat down to nothing before I can even play weaker players with him.
Yeah. And that's definitely why I do wish there was an unranked mode and a ranked mode that you can queue into, just so that you can practice a character online without any consequences to your matchmaking. I feel like they did not include a ranked mode because splintering the population between ranked and unranked might be too much for an indie game.
I do think that could be the case. I mean, look how long it took me to find a match sometimes in Pokken Tournament, and that's a very popular game. I sometimes had to wait like 5 minutes, and I just played the computer for like 5 to 10 minutes before I got a match sometimes.
Yeah.
This is an indie game, and I feel like if I had 2 different queues, I'm really lucky. I feel like I find a match within a minute every time, but if I had to wait really long, it would be pretty sad.
Yeah, and I do know it's it's a bit weird when you're trying to queue and you cancel, and then you try to re-queue again. It feels unresponsive in that sense.
Yeah, there's a couple of weird glitches with it where it won't let me re-enter the queue until I look if I look at the leaderboards, and then I can go re-queue if I exit the leaderboard, or some other weird stuff like that. And even when I look at the leaderboard, the names don't load all the time. And so there's a few little kinks that they still haven't gotten to even work out in there. Nothing major, just a few inconveniences.
Yeah.
And I think they focused on making sure the gameplay works, the battling works, and online is nearly flawless, but all the little things around it, like the interface and stuff, don't quite work right. Even the buttons, I feel like I don't know how to exit certain menus sometimes.
Yeah, it's pretty confusing. And one of the big things about playing ranked online, and I guess even on a competitive level, due to some of the matchups being pretty heavily favoring one character over another, you are able to switch which character you're using if you lose. That's part of how this game balances itself. But when you're going online, it was kind of unclear how to do that at first.
Again, it's another thing that they don't tutorialize, and they don't really explain to the players unless you find out outside of the game.
Yeah, I feel like this game is great on a fundamental level. Other than the system quibbles that I mentioned previously, I think the way the game plays, the way the characters work, the inputs, I think those are really solid for the game. I just feel like there's a bunch of interface issues that they could have cleared up. And it's something that could be improved on in the future.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's all stuff that can be tidied up pretty easily. The last thing I think we should mention is the solo mode, which is obviously the thing that so far got the least attention. Right now, there's the arcade and the versus computer mode, and you fight everybody else on the roster, and then it says congratulations. Okay, like I said, I think they're going to add a boss in the next update. So
you think so?
No, they said
it's confirmed.
It's confirmed. They're adding a boss character that you will fight.
I hope so, because honestly, I was playing through the arcade mode as my first experience actually competing or playing the game, and once I beat Subject 11, it just showed the congratulations screen, and then immediately transitioned me to the menu screen. Right. And it felt so unsatisfying.
It was, yeah.
But it's a $9 game. That's something that I always want to reiterate.
Also, though, I will say another thing, going back to the thing where some features missing for newer players. If you even play the versus AI mode, even on the easiest difficulty, the game murders new players. Like, it is not that easy on the easiest level. And
Yeah.
I think that it needs to have a very, very easy AI for people to just kind of practice their most basic combos on. Because even in the training room, you can't set and I think this is another little option. There needs to be a few more options in the training room to set the computer to do certain moves against you if you want to practice like countering certain things, or just set it to fight you in there. But yeah, they need to have some easy AI to play against. And then finally, I think there's the career mode, which has an interesting feature, but I don't think it's been too expressed yet. And they don't explain this is what it does. It lets you play AIs that are trained off of other actual real players.
Oh, okay, really? Because that was not made clear at all.
No, I only know this from following the Kickstarter, and it does not say it anywhere. And you'll see the names of players when you're playing in the career mode, and you're playing AI that is informing its decisions and play styles based on other actual players.
Yeah, so I actually really like that. I just wish I knew.
Yeah, right, exactly. Again, I think there needs to be a lot of things cleaned up, and hopefully, now that the core gameplay is polished up and ready to and good to play, they can focus more attention, because it's a really small team too. I don't even know if it's more than one programmer or not. I really can't say.
Yeah.
But I think that maybe now if they could just put a little attention towards polishing up all those UI things, adding some of that little extra content there, and I don't know, just get a writer to type in some instructions in the tutorial. I think this could be a real sparkling gem. Like, I'm going to play this regardless right now. It's enough for me to play, and I'm going to support it as a tournament runner as much as I can. But I think to really make this shine and impress people and make it a phenomenal game, I think they just need to do this little polishing, and I think that's what they're going to focus on from here on out.
Yeah, and especially for me, I'm kind of tepid on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick around with this game.
Well, you got the big fancy shiny fighting games you're looking forward to.
And so now Pokken Tournament is out. Smash Ultimate is coming out soon. Skullgirls is coming out soon. Dragon Ball Fighters is coming out soon. Blaze Blue is already out. So this game has a lot of competition on that front. And a lot of those games have taken quite a number of strides to become accessible to people, to beginners. And so this is something that the industry as a whole is really already starting to encompass. And I'm wondering if Pocket Rumble would be able to just capitalize on the fact that it's beginner friendly when all of these bigger name fighting games are kind of doing the same.
I don't know. I've seen what the other games are doing to be more beginner friendly, and I still think there's a huge gap. I think the only other game that is really beginner friendly that's on the horizon is Fantasy Strike. That's the only other one I think that is attempting to do something even in the realm of Pocket Rumble right now. And it might be more appealing to certain people who are looking for, fancier 3D graphics as opposed to this one's classic pixely graphics. So there might be room for both of them, just in terms of art
there's
direction.
Absolutely room for both of them. I'm just concerned about the popularity based on that specific selling point.
I think if anyone's interested in one of those other fighting games you mentioned there like that, I think Pocket Rumble would be a great stepping stone. Buy it for $10. Even if you don't plan on playing it forever, maybe think of it as the way to, like, you know what? I'm going to play this for a month or two. I'm going to get myself in the mindset of fighting games, and then go to the next step afterwards if you think you want to play something a little flashier.
That's the thing about this game. The price point is just so inclusive. At $9, what is contained in this game is actually, I think, is well worth the $9 that you'd pay for. Yeah, you're right. Using it as a stepping stone even to other fighting games, or maybe using this game as your one competitive fighting game. I think this Pocket Rumble serves that multi-purpose well.
All right. So I think that covers all our good opinions on it. If you guys are interested in playing it, definitely come onto the Discord chat, talk to me, and I will always be in that Pocket Rumble Discord room because, I'm going to take it seriously.
Yep. Casey is the #1 Pocket Rumble advocate. I can tell you that.
Yeah, there we go. All right. And, just to quickly check up on, you actually got to play something that I wanted to try it a little bit, but I just didn't have enough internet access to really get into Arena of Valor. But
Yes.
you had a little bit of a tryst with it over the week.
Oh yeah, there was the closed beta that happened. I believe it was last week, early of last week, and it's essentially a bite-sized MOBA that's designed to be completed at around the 10 or 15 minute mark. So
that's a pretty good time limit. That's what I liked about Vainglory.
Yeah, it's really cool. I don't want to go deep into it quite yet. I'll wait until it's fully released to really cover this game. But I enjoyed the daylights out of Arena of Valor, KC. I was actually quite glued to it.
Nice.
Yeah,
really?
So I play League of Legends and, Heroes of the Storm MOBAs quite often.
Right, so you have a pretty high bar for what a MOBA could be.
Yeah. I have high expectations. I have a lot of experience with that genre. And Arena of Valor is definitely a game that's worth considering. It's owned by the company who owns Riot Games, which is League of Legends.
That's Tencent?
Yeah, Tencent. And it's actually the biggest MOBA in the world. So, if everyone, just as a preview, this is something to look forward to because of how accessible, how nice the controls are, and how vibrant the graphics are in the Switch. I'm looking forward to covering this game more in the future, and I'm convinced. I am super convinced.
Cool. I think it's interesting because it is the biggest MOBA in the world, mostly due to the fact that it's so popular in China.
Yes.
And if you notice, there's those DC characters that were added to the game. That was their way of trying to say, hey, Western world, want to play us? We got your fancy comic book characters here for you to play.
Yeah, it's honestly really cool. The DC characters were not in the beta, and only a small subsection of characters were actually available.
I just thought that was funny to see because I see so many games made in the West that try to woo the Chinese market by adding very Asian characters to them and being like, hey, here's a character for you guys to enjoy. It's just kind of funny to see.
It's the reverse.
Yeah, someone trying to woo me to play the game with some Western kind of trope to it.
Yeah, and when I was playing the beta, that was one of the biggest concerns I had. I was scared about how grindy and granular and, how maybe tricky and hard to grasp this game was. But no, there are a lot of built-in systems that make the MOBA experience streamlined for maybe even a lot of beginners. So I'm excited. In a similar way that Pocket Rumble streamlines a lot of aspects of fighting games, I think Arena of Valor streamlines a lot of MOBA systems that would make it more accessible to people who aren't really into that genre. And I'm just so glad that it's coming to the Switch, Casey.
Awesome. All right, so we'll definitely keep our eye on this one and
like a hawk, Casey.
Yeah, like a hawk. This is your Pocket Rumble, JB.
Oh, I'm so excited. I have a little room for it in our Discord chat, and we were the community was freaking out and talking about the characters, talking about strategies. We were all doing really well because we were helping each other with ideas. It was just
we're gonna have to make a guild or whatever, and have a whole team of TSCs, taking over the game.
And I definitely think even you, if you like Vainglory, Casey, I think you would like this game.
Definitely a good MOBA is something that's been missing from my gaming rotation. So I am hungry for something like this. And this is a 5v5, right? This isn't 3v3, right?
This is a full 5v5. They have a 3v3 mode, but it is 5v5. It actually has the classic lanes and a jungling system like a classic MOBA, but they were able to compress the experience so well into a 10, 15 minute experience. Heck, the longest game I had was about 20 minutes, and that was with a really, really intense back and forth.
All right, so we'll keep you guys posted with that, but that's all our game time for right now, and I'll load in here the interview I had this week, so why don't you guys listen up to that, and we'll be back shortly thereafter with the news rundown. All right, everybody, I have a special little segment for this week, especially because I've been out for a week. I thought this would be a great time to say welcome to a special guest and a developer from SpiritSphere DX, which you may have remembered us reviewing in the last episode. This is Martino Wullems. Is that how I say it correctly?
Yeah, that's all right.
See, I don't want just all right. How do you actually say it? Please correct me. Correct me.
It's like Willems.
Willems.
Yeah, that's nice. That's all right. Yeah.
Beautiful. And you are in Amsterdam, yes?
Yeah, right next to Amsterdam. So pretty much Amsterdam, yeah.
Well, why don't we start off? Why don't you please just introduce yourself?
All right. So yeah, my name is Martino. I'm a Dutch guy from a city next to Amsterdam. My studio is called Eendhoorn Games. Might sound kind of funny because it's Dutch, but yeah, whatever.
Does that mean something?
Like an eend is a duck, and an eenhoorn is a unicorn. So it's like a fusion of a duck and a unicorn.
Oh, that's what your icon is on a Skype, I see.
Yeah, that's the logo of the company, yeah.
Okay. All right, I get it. That's cool.
Yeah, I made the game SpiritSphere DX that just came out on the Switch. Yeah, so it's just me, just one guy. I do the programming, I do the game design, and I do the art. The music is done by a guy in Italy. His artist name is Gas1312. He makes, he's an interesting guy. He makes his music on Game Boys, so pretty interesting and a good fit for the game since the game has like retro Game Boy style graphics. Yeah.
That's interesting. Is music the only thing that you kind of had to bring somebody else in? I mean, you've done everything else by yourself, so you had to find maybe someone to fill in for that one or two things that you couldn't do by yourself?
Yeah, so there's the only other thing that I didn't do is some promotional art, and we did end up using, actually putting that into the game as well. So there's a tiny bit of art, the character portraits that I didn't make myself.
I see. Okay, so that was something. Now, how did you find the people that you would bring in to your project like that?
The music, I actually made an ad on, it's called TigSource. It's a indie game developer forum. And I just put an ad there, hey, I'm searching for some people who can do music for me. And I got a whole bunch of messages, like really a lot more than 100.
Wow.
And there was this one guy who just was so enthusiastic about the project, and I just had to pick him, even if he was not had the best resume or best experience, but he was just so enthusiastic about the project, and he was just a normal old bloke like me, so I gave him a place in the project.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I mean, at this time, you had never published a game before this one, or do you have anything else under your belt before this?
I made some like really simple games on and put them on itch.io. You probably know it, right? It's like a more loose version of Steam, I guess, like more creative little games.
Okay.
Yeah, those are all really simple games. And then I made SpiritSphere on Steam first. And now it came to Switch, like the DX version. It's an enhanced version of the Steam version with new characters and a whole bunch of new game modes and stuff.
It seems that Steam developers do seem to have a penchant for finding a new home for their games on the Switch. What made you choose to port your game or to make the advanced version of it for Switch as opposed to maybe some other console?
Well, it wasn't really a choice. I wanted to put the game on there since I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy.
Okay.
But I was following the guys who made Slimeson, Fabrez. I was following them on Twitter, and they were following me. And one day I got a message from them, hey, we want to put your game on the Switch. And I was like, hell yeah. So that's how it all started.
So how long ago did that start? Like, how long was the process to make it for the Switch?
About 9 months, and the original game also took 9 months, so I literally doubled the development time.
And concerning like the popularity of it, how have you? I mean, I assume you get to see how well it sells, let's say on Steam and on Switch. Have you noticed, or could you tell us how well it's done on each, and if maybe the Switch version has maybe brought more attention to the Steam version to people?
The Switch version did really poorly since I self-published it, and now I have a publisher, so naturally it's doing a lot better. I don't actually get to see the numbers since my publisher, Fabras, sees all that stuff, but I already know it's doing better than the Steam version.
Oh, that's great. And, and hopefully we always hope, even if someone doesn't necessarily buy it on the Switch. I know that some companies notice that the Steam versions do pick up as well once the word gets a little more popular on the Switch. What is the main way that you try to promote a game like this? I mean, I know it can't be easy. You don't have a huge marketing budget for something like this. So what's your main avenue for getting word out?
Yeah, I really hate doing marketing and PR. So I'm so happy I got a publisher now, because on the Steam version I was just sending emails to press and doing social media, and it's not my cup of tea. That is why the Steam version did so poorly.
Yeah.
And now I have the publisher, and they took me to PAX. They flew me all the way over to PAX. Got to stand in the Indie Mega booth. They got ask me anything on the Nintendo Switch Reddit, so they're doing a good job. Yeah, they're doing a nice job.
Did anyone give you any fun questions during that one? Something maybe you didn't expect?
Yeah, they ask really random things like, what's your favorite fruit? That kind of stuff. Nothing actually about the game, but nothing too weird.
Oh, so yes, you were at Penny Arcade Expo, because I believe we must have met, because I know JV and I came down there, and that's where we first saw the game ourselves, and we played the 2-player handheld version of it, and we were just taken away with it. We knew that this is something that we wanted to talk about, and that we wanted to have you on the show in the future from the second, because I loved that. The rest of the game is great in every way, and as far as we're concerned, but I feel like that little Switch, the two people holding the end of the Switch, is what kind of sold it to us as this is something that has that little, I guess that social magic, I like to say, when you can just walk up to anyone and just show it to somebody and hand it and start playing in this weird, cool way. And so, it has a real potential, I guess, for word of mouth, which is one of the hardest ways to get something, get word around with when you're trying to market a game. So I just feel like you have to walk around or get 50 people to walk around with a Switch and just pick random people to play 2 players with in this game.
Yeah, it's definitely a selling point. When I saw the reveal of the Switch, actually, I was like, damn, I wanna make this. So in the end, I did, and it turned out to be fun. So yeah, all is good.
Well, let's talk about the origins of the game itself now. I mean, where did the inspiration come for this type of game? I always call it, when I try to describe it to people, I call it digital knock hockey. I mean, what was your first way that you envisioned this game?
So that's quite an interesting story. There is a game jam. It's like an event where you have to make a game in, I think it was a week or 10 days.
Okay,
This specific one was, had like the guideline of making your game with Game Boy graphics in mind. So small resolution, 4 colors, all that stuff. I made like a dungeon crawler inspired by Zelda, and every room was its own minigame. And one of the minigames was like a Pong type of game. And I finished the game jam, and I was like, this minigame is pretty fun. I want to see what else I can do. And a few days after I was prototyping that, I actually went to the arcade and I played the air hockey you were talking about. And I was like, oh, this is so much fun. I'm gonna make this my game. I'm gonna use some of these elements for my game. And yeah, that's how it all started.
All right. Now, there's a lot of different modes you've added to the game. I see, there's the 2-on-1, there's the 2v2, there's squash mode, which I did forget to talk about in the episode before, and I so regret it. But squash mode, which was equally fun, kind of a handball type game. But I'm sure you had more and more ideas. Where did you decide, or how did you decide where to draw the line of how many new features, different balls, different modes to add to this game? And when you said, all right, this is it, I have to stop at this many different little varieties for it.
Yeah, that's so hard knowing where to stop. But I discussed with HeatleyBros when we wanted to bring out the game. And I knew it was somewhere around spring, so I just had to prioritize what I wanted to add. And feedback I got from the Steam version was you couldn't play with 3 players at all. And some people, they just have like a friend group of 3 people in total. So the boss mode was definitely high on the list. I really wanted to enable 3-player mode. And then there was, of course, the hand-to-hand mode that just had to be in there as well. So those were high in the list. And after that was done, I just added some new characters and stuff and just saw the deadline coming real close. So I knew I had to stop at that point.
Now, all the characters, a lot of people do like how they all feel very, some of them feel pretty inspired by classic video game characters. And was there any particular, like, I don't recognize all of them though. I don't know if they all have some sort of inspiration or if some of them were originals. Who was your favorite out of the roster?
Oh, my favorite. That's a difficult one. I think I like, gameplay wise, I don't know if you unlocked her yet. I like Taya the best, the fiery girl.
Yes, okay.
Because she can curve with her dash, but my heart really goes to Buster.
Buster, that's the mouse?
That's the dog, cat, mouse, whatever you see in it. Everyone sees something different.
That's funny. Now, you talk about the different gameplay mechanics. I was curious how important you felt it was, or how much time you spent with working out a balance between these characters, or was that not like a super priority since you might not have considered it to be a super competitive game?
Yeah, that was really difficult, especially since I'm on my own, so I cannot really playtest. I can just playtest against the CPU.
All right.
And then every once in a while I can playtest against players, but I just really made the game with risk and reward in mind. So a character has an ability, for example, Buster has the sweeping tail. He can actually attack and walk at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like his advantage, but the disadvantage he has is his range is quite small. So that's how I try to balance all the characters. I'll give them something. So Ozo, he has a pretty long vertical attack, but it's really narrow. So that's how I approach all the characters. But then I had to make the boss mode, who is designed to fight 2 players. And that was just so difficult to balance. I hope he's not too overpowered.
We in my group, we seem to be going back and forth on that, where at first he seemed just so overpowered, and then the 2 players would eventually learn kind of how to do the teamwork and how to counter his moves. And then it would seem like, oh, he's underpowered. The 2 players working together just are too good for him. And then the boss player would start to catch on and learn how to counter the teamwork. And then it would just go back and forth. Each would seem overpowered as everyone kind of learned how to counter the new strategy we learned for one side or the other.
Yeah, that's how it went during development as well. Like, oh, he's too strong. I have to power him down. Then I powered him down and it was like, oh, he's not strong enough. I have to power him up again.
Okay. Now, about the different designs of the characters, I mean, did you have a different inspiration for each one of them, or is that something that you left up to the character artist, or were they all designed by you originally?
Yeah, they were all designed by me. Almost all of them have some sort of inspiration. I'm curious to hear what do you see? What kind of inspirations do you see?
Okay, well, obviously we saw Link in Lin. The car guy, all I could think of him is Johnny from Chrono Trigger from some reason, and I don't know if he's a popular enough character that would be the cause of it. Everyone I know seems to see one character that I don't see. Oh, Ozo reminds people of Orko from He-Man. So, yeah, I don't know which one of these are just like us Rorschach test and seeing whatever we want to see, or how many of these things are actually the true inspirations for them.
Yeah, I have no clue who that He-Man character is.
Oh, okay. Orko, he was like a little ghost wizard guy from an old 80s cartoon here in America.
Oh, right, yeah. So, yeah, he was definitely not inspired by that character. But, yeah, there's some inspirations. I don't want to give it all away because I want to let people guess. But Lin is definitely inspired by, like, an elf or, like, Link a tiny bit. I did try not to make her too much like Link because I don't want to just blatantly rip off Zelda.
Yeah. Hey, at least you made her a female, too.
Yeah, exactly. Then there is Buster. He's actually inspired by a character called Poki from Poki and Rocky. It's an NES game.
Oh, all right.
And then there is the boss guy, the goat, Baphomet.
Baphomet, yeah.
Yeah, he's actually from an online RPG I played as a teenager called Ragnarok Online.
Oh, Ragnarok, yes.
Yes, because we always used to I don't know why, but with my friends, we just joked around that Baphomet was living in our town and he was just a normal guy and stuff. So for some reason, I want to put him into the game. And he's also a tiny bit of Ganondorf sipped into there as well.
I can see that. Okay. Speaking of online, now, did this game have online features in the Steam version, or was it never online on any version?
No, it was never online.
Okay. I was curious if that was just a decision you made because it would be way more work than you can handle, or was it something that you just were like, you know what, this is probably best played face-to-face and in person, not online?
Yeah, I like local multiplayer games. That's just the most fun. Because if you're playing against a different guy somewhere else, you cannot do the trash talk and things like that. So that's really necessary for this type of game. But it's also just way too much work for just a solo developer like me. It would add like another year to development. And I would rather just make a new game in a year instead of adding online.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I agree. I personally, I feel like I've always been looking for, because I have a monthly group that meets up and we play Switch games together in a location, and we're always looking for games that we can actually play as small groups, you know, not necessarily like the big 10-player Mario Kart races, even just something that's like 4 players and small enough that you can trash talk to the guy next to you and not have to yell down the table. But but still enough of us that it's, you know, pretty crazy and hectic. And so, yeah, this has become, I think, like a new staple for that. And I agree. I definitely like the face-to-face interaction and being able to use the Switch for social means like that. So I appreciate that development there.
So did you actually know that there's a fifth player can join?
Oh,
it's hidden a tiny bit in the game, but a fifth player can join. He will become like a ghost who flies over the battlefield, and he can blow against the ball, and he can pick up items. He's basically there to annoy everyone.
That's awesome. I feel like that's almost that's a semi-exclusive here, because I have not heard anyone tell me about the secret fifth player.
It's a secret. When you keep the game on the main menu for 3 minutes, the character will actually pop up, and he will say, "Connect an extra controller" during a match, and that's how you add him. During the match, you actually connect a fifth controller, and then he automatically pops up in the game.
Oh, that's wonderful. I love that. You hit it. I love this, these little features. That's really cool. And so there's always a little bit more fun to discover in here. And I can imagine someone just being like, yeah, I'm not, because we always have one person who's like, I don't want to play. I'm not good at this yet. Like, I could see them like, no, just be the fifth person who annoys everybody, who's not trying to win or lose, just trying to like be the obstacles. I love that. So yeah, you seem to keep finding new ways to hide and add more things like the squash mode. I'm curious when squash mode was added to it, because that's almost like it's the same physics and mechanics, but it's a whole different game style. When did you decide to add that to the game?
I was thinking, I was making the single player mode, and it was kind of boring to just keep doing the same match over and over and over. So I wanted some sort of variety. And I used to go to squash back in high school, and it was always so aggressive and screaming, and people got hurt. Sorry, if you're listening, Tino, sorry about that. Yeah, so I wanted to add something, and I always enjoyed squash, and I thought it would be perfect, and turned out it was. So yeah, that's how it got in there.
It is the first, I guess I could say, it's probably the first game I've played that's emulates handball, which is basically squash just without tools. It's basically the first, because I played a lot of handball in Brooklyn growing up, and so that was the sport that, you know, was more popular around here. And I've never actually had a video game where I could play that before. So this is pretty much the same thing, just with swords and axes and magic spells. So that's been a unique experience. And that's pretty cool that you tied in something that was your own little personal passion there. Speaking of, though, you talked about you wanted to maybe, instead of adding more stuff, you're just kind of maybe ready to start working on your next game. Do you have something in mind already? Are you, have you announced anything, or are you just in ideas phase for the next game you might make? Or are you going to go and see the world for a while first?
I did that already. I just came back from Japan, so.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, I relaxed a bit before the release. But yeah.
Oh, I imagine it's been it must have been totally stressful leading up to the Switch release.
Not at all, actually, because I had the publisher. They just took care of all the nasty stuff for me. So it was quite relaxing. I came back to Netherlands one day before the release.
So yeah, do you have something then on your plate for the future?
I have 3 prototypes ready, and I have to pick which one I want to make. And it's all gonna depend on how well SpiritSphere does and how long can I take on my next game, because each project is a bit shorter than the other, so I will have to choose based on that.
Are you going to just keep going as a more or less one-man team and just kind of hiring, freelancers, I guess, where needed? Or do you think you might bring on like full-time assistants and programmers or stuff to help you out in the future?
Probably I will go as just a one-man team, but I really do miss just having someone to talk with, because when I'm making something on my own, you really want to have someone to say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, can you help me out with this? But probably I will just stay a one-man team. It's too convenient to wake up whenever you want and things like that.
Now, you work mostly from your home, you mentioned, yes?
Yes, that's true.
Do you ever try to I can imagine working from home after a while, you might just be like, oh, I need to get out of here. Do you work from other places too sometimes? Like, do you just say, hey, I just need to work from a Starbucks today or something?
When I'm in my own country, I always work from here. But while I was in Japan, I did go to Starbucks to work, mostly because my room was just so small.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, so you just pretty much stay there, and I guess it's just the most comfortable. It's where you feel like you're most productive.
Yeah, I can do art in other places for sure, at Starbucks or anywhere else. But when I'm programming, I really need to be so focused. I really can't have any noise around me. So I lock myself in like a caveman and just do some programming.
Would you ever consider being a employee for a bigger game studio, or are you just like, no, I want to make my games, I don't want to make someone else's games?
I was employed before at a game company that made Flash games when Flash was still a thing. Made me sound so old, but it's just like 4 years ago. But yeah, I had to wake up early and I had to make things I don't like making, and I actually got sick in between, and that's why I left the job, because I couldn't work anymore for a while. That's when I really realized, we are so fragile, such fragile beings as humans. You never know when something might happen, and if something bad would happen to me and I would look back to the last 4 years of my life and I just made things I didn't like making, I would regret it so much. So from that point on, I just thought, I'm gonna make what I want to make.
Awesome. Before we leave, I guess, is there anything else that you'd like to tell the audience, or is there any other little things you want to promote or you want to mention on the show?
If you do pick up SpiritSphere and you play the hand-to-hand mode, please film it and send it to me on Twitter. I really enjoy seeing people having social interactions. My Twitter handle is at Eendhoorn Games. You will probably have to look at the notes somewhere.
Oh yeah, I'll
page
leave a
for
link.
The podcast.
Yeah, I always leave a link in the show notes to all these sort of things. So yes, I'll definitely leave a link to your Twitter page so people can find that. And yeah, guys, definitely record playing SpiritSphere and send it to them. I'd love to see you guys playing it, especially in the hand-to-hand mode or any other mode, I guess, for that matter. Thank you for sharing all this information about your work process, and these little secret extras regarding SpiritSphere DX. And like I said, thank you for coming on the show with us today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It was fun.
All right, news rundown, and here are your headlines. Okay, so Nintendo has been getting a little criticism lately, at least from investors who have been saying that they didn't announce enough games at E3, and it was one of those things that stocks take a hit because whatever, they're scared of this. But I mean, we were pretty excited about the things they did announce, but they specified actually over the week during an investors meeting, and it was one of the last meetings of their outgoing president, Tatsumi Kimishima, but he did say that they have not actually announced all their 2018 lineup yet. There are more Nintendo Switch games or first-party games that they have not revealed yet.
Yeah, which is definitely an interesting claim to make. I'm not entirely sure what bombshells they could be hiding at this point.
That is true. My only guess is that there might be something interesting, at least interesting, I'd say a B-plus type title that they're saving for the Switch online service to kick in with. That might only be interesting once that's announced and taken into account.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. The biggest problem I have with this claim is that I don't think, it might already be too late to announce a big bombshell game that would appease stockholders like this. I don't think Metroid Prime will release this year. I don't think maybe a new Star Fox or F-Zero is not going to release this year or at all. I don't think there's anything that they have that would appease the stockholders this late. So, despite what I said, despite the fact that maybe there aren't any big bombshells that are hidden, we're still getting Smash Ultimate. We're still getting Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee, and the new Switch online systems coming out in the future. I think we'll be fine regardless.
I think this was also mentioned during the same meeting, though, but this is actually an interesting little statistic.
Nintendo was announced that they want to release around 20 to 30 indie games every week. That's, I don't know how possible that would be.
That's almost like too many, I feel, to even say, because I'm having a hard time now playing or keeping up with the ones that I like and seeing enough. I mean, I guess there's always enough people, like, they have a smaller, very focused kind of target audience, these games. So maybe if they did have 20 or 30, it could be like, sure, they're not big games, but they're small games that focus on a very specific, play group, so to speak.
And I do think the primary concern with this particular claim is that, of course, Nintendo fans, we don't want the eShop to be filled with so much shovelware that it's hard to browse to find something that we might actually want.
They need to definitely improve, the searchability of there, or even give some sort of review system like they had, but they took away to help people kind of like bring the cream to the top.
Yeah, and so if they're going to have this aggressive release schedule for indie games, they really need to improve their eShop offering and eShop filtering methods, just so that all the indie games that we could actually want would be brought to the top.
And you know what actually is a prime example of how this could also go wrong is just looking at any app store, because I mean, nothing gets more games every single day than, Google Play or the iTunes, App Store, because I can never find out what the new exciting games are on there unless I go to a website that filters it for me and, says like, here's the top 5 exciting games that have been added to it this week, and here's the junk you could ignore. I can never just go on the App Store and just browse the new games. It's very hard to find like what's up my alley that's coming out or just came out. So I don't want the App Store, I don't want the eShop to be like that, where I don't even know what games are coming out because there's too many of them and they're buried around this mess, and I have to go and I guess on the plus side that means more people have to listen to us to find out what's worth it.
Yeah, but still, I definitely want to prioritize the Nintendo fans and their play experience.
This is kind of cute. So Nintendo UK just launched a YouTube channel centered around the Labo, in which they're going to be doing a weekly video series for contests, tips, little like challenges for the Labo community. Just kind of like get people, just get people working together on more of these projects. I think it's kind of an interesting way to organize a community like that. So if anyone's still playing with their Labos or looking for new things to do with it, I'll leave a link to this channel. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like the treehouse type people, you know?
Yeah, it's honestly pretty cute.
Yeah.
So a little bit of news that I actually really liked regarding the Nintendo Switch. It seems like a Nintendo Switch Splatoon 2 bundle will include a 90-day free trial of the Switch online service. This essentially helps new people who buy a new Nintendo Switch with the sticker shock of having to pay for a Nintendo Switch online.
Yeah, and they also suggest that this 90-day trial will be included in any other future bundles, which is good because, I mean, we got, a year and a half of free Nintendo online service? I guess it's only fair people get 3 months of it for buying the system.
And it's still really good because we've been living without that Nintendo Switch online payment requirement, and that might be the expectation that new Switch owners would have. So giving them this 90-day buffer would let them prepare mentally for the fact that they might have to pay in the future.
I like the idea. I have to prepare myself mentally to pay. What is it?
It's $20 a year.
Yeah,
you know how it is.
Also, Nintendo's on. They're aiming to ship now 20 million Switch consoles this year. That is their goal, which is continually rising, actually, as it goes on. It seems like last year we were talking about their shipping goals, and they kept upping it, and it kept seeming like more and more of a moonshot, but they pulled it off, and they're going to have to be pretty aggressive, I think, to reach this year before the year's out. And I don't know. I guess it really comes down to how excited people are for the new releases, especially around Christmas time. Can you think off the top of your head what the big Christmas games are going to be this year?
Smash Ultimate. That's all I can really think of. But that's still a very big game, and that encompasses a large number of people.
That could do it. Honestly, that could do it.
Yeah, and the Nintendo Switch is really becoming a big part of the cultural zeitgeist nowadays. I'm actually seeing a lot more Nintendo Switches out in the wild than 3DSs. And that cultural shift is really pivotal for Nintendo to be able to keep pushing out these Switches to people and reaching these numbers.
Oh, that could be more powerful than any advertising campaign ever.
Yeah,
really,
absolutely.
So.
I go to coffee shops relatively regularly, and I do see people playing Nintendo Switches out in the wild now. It's a pretty regular thing to witness, and I'm just glad it's becoming that way.
All right, moving into the updates. Mario Tennis Aces version 1.1.1 is now available, and this adds the ranking system to, or the rating system to online mode, as well as a few other tweaks to the adventure mode. Particularly, I think it made certain challenges a little easier, which could be necessary because some of those challenges are really frustrating sometimes, especially the ones where you just you can't even let the opponent return the hit, or those kind of challenges. But the enemies are going to use less zone shots in certain ones of them, and they fix some disconnection issues. But the rating feature is interesting in that it's based on, it changes score by score. It's not whether you win or lose the match. It takes into account every time that you manage to actually score a point against your opponent. And they take into your the difference between your ratings into account. So if the other person's like really high, they can't gain anything off of beating you, but you can raise your score substantially just by getting a few points on them, which is interesting.
And I think this feature is going to be pivotal for any more granular matchmaking they include in the future. So
yeah, because that is something people have been complaining about, the matchmaking.
Yeah, it's matchmaking is always a tricky problem in every online multiplayer game, and it's compounded in some games where it practically doesn't have any sort of logic.
I also want to note the one thing they need to add is a retry button for when you fail a mission in the adventure mode. Because right
Yes.
now, when you fail, you have to leave, and then it loads
Reload
the map.
back in. Even if you skip the beginning dialogue, it's still pretty slow.
I have to reload the court then, and then I have to wait for it to it's such a waste of time when you could just give you a retry button.
So it looks like Minecraft is getting a really large aquatic update, which includes some new underwater creatures that you have to worry about, new pieces that you can build, and primarily you can now utilize Minecraft realms on the Nintendo Switch. And that's the persistent cloud-based server that we mentioned Darkus is bringing up.
Okay, all right, awesome.
So really cool that we got that. It's good stuff.
That kind of really opens up the experience. That's one of the most important aspects of the Minecraft experience, that persistent, just kind of having your world that people you can invite in and share with each other. That's good.
Yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is heading an update to let you really customize the challenge parameters, and this includes everything from how much damage the enemies deal to how fast your gauge builds up, all these different options. So you can, I guess, make the game as easy or as difficult in any particular way that you want. It's not officially confirmed yet, but it does look like they have some screenshots of the options, and it does look like it's something that will arrive probably right before the Torna, the Golden Country DLC expansion.
Oh, there's just so much granularity that you can do with this. It's kind of mind-blowing.
I don't know how I would utilize it, though, unless I realize that maybe I just want the game to still be just as challenging, but maybe I don't want battles to last as long.
Yeah, so maybe I could lower the maximum HP of our enemies. Maybe. Something like that.
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like, look, I got this fight down. I just have to do the same thing over, like another 10 times to finish the match.
All right, so it looks like the Fortnite Playground mode has been released. But there might be a couple technical difficulties that you're running into.
Yeah, it was down for a little while. I don't think it was working for a bit, and then they got it back up. And then when I checked it today, it sounded like it was down again for some maintenance. But I by the time that this podcast posts, I think it should be up and running fully.
Yeah, well, it's actually really interesting to see how people are taking advantage of the Fortnite Playground mode, because a lot of people are treating it like Minecraft and making some really weird fortresses, and it's pretty cool.
Never a bad thing to say people are treating it like Minecraft. That's never a bad thing to hear.
Definitely not. And I just really wish that they'll keep it up.
Rocket League is turning 3 years old very soon, and to celebrate, they have a special birthday event coming up. The event is going to run from, it already started by now. It started July 9th, and it'll run to the 23rd, and it's combining also the supersonic acrobatic rocket-powered battle cars.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, a whole other selection of vehicles they're adding to it, and it will allow players to get new customization items by redeeming their SARPBC balloons.
Supersonic acrobatic rocket powered battle cars.
Boy, that's like the strong, bad, cool game for attractive people.
Oh yeah.
And you can earn those by playing matches online, and and one of them includes a little cake hat for your car. Always fun to unlock stuff for the game. Another excuse to log in.
It looks like ARMS is also getting another party crash, and the party clash this time is between Min Min versus Kid Cobra. Now, obviously, we want Min Min to win that. It's pretty obvious.
Min Min for the win-win.
Min Min for the win-win.
It's hard for me not to, she's just such a likable character, and she is very popular and awesome. I have to back Kid Cobra just because he's a fellow KC.
That is fair. That is fair. Someday they will have a JV in that game.
And that's right. Once they have Julian Volt,
Justice Volt,
Justin Volt. And on the other side of our competition coin, the next Splatfest, which will be the following weekend, is going to be Squids versus Octopus. And
it's pretty obvious we're rooting for Squids here. It's Splatoon, right?
This is funny because it is one that I can't blame people for liking either side. And squids, you know, they are the backbone of the game. They are the characters that you got to love. But honestly, I'm favoring the new kids on the block. The octopus, the octolings, they just have this cool, tough vibe to them. I think they just have a nice style, and they're a little more, they're edgier. They're edgier.
I can see that, but you know, squids are the fundamental characters of this game. I'm definitely going Team Squid, and I had no question about that.
And it's fun to note that even if you don't have the Octo expansion pack, when you pick your team in this mode, you will be a Octoling if you pick Team Octopus, and you'll be a Squid if you're, pick Team Squid. But it will be, when you're playing this, it will be teams of Squids versus teams of Octolings.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. I like that extra little touch for this.
Yeah. I am very curious to see what the popularity poll comes out, because I just have the feeling, because there's the new kids on the block and there's something that people are, they're building up the hype for. I have a feeling the Octolings are going to be very popular in this one.
Yeah, they just want to be others. They just want to be cool. Respect your roots, guys.
Down the pipe, games that have been announced are coming in the near future, but not this week. Wasteland 2 Director's Cut coming in August. That's the Wild West strategy game.
Oh, that's a big deal. This is the game that spawned the Fallout series.
Oh, okay. I knew it was definitely inspired by or inspired from. I forgot. I don't know.
Yeah, it inspired the Fallout series, essentially.
That's okay. Okay. I definitely noticed it definitely looked like it was in the same kind of setting. Did not realize it was really like that.
That's tied together. Yep.
That's cool. Dragon Marked for Death. That's the game we're both pretty excited for. The multiplayer 2D action game where you got to play that cool Lancer guy at PAX East.
Oh yeah. The shield robot Lancer dude.
Yeah. My Hero One's Justice coming in October.
One's Justice. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm good, Casey.
AI, the Somnium Files. This I'm interested in because this is by the director who did the Zero Escape series that I'm so fond of. And
is this a new story entirely?
This is a entire IP in which you're a detective in this like cyber future, and he has a robotic eye that lets him see things that aren't there, and there's like an AI that lives in his eye so he can see beyond the veil of normal human experiences.
Yeah, so you just listed so many keywords that piqued my interest, Casey. I'm interested in this. I dig it.
Also, a trio of games were announced by Nice. Yeah, Nice announced 3 new games coming to Switch in 2019. Princess Guide, which is, this kind of looks like it runs on the same engine as Penny Punching Princess, but multiple characters. The Caligula Effect, Overdose. This is a weird setting, but this is a kind of an RPG with like 500 student characters you can recruit. It's in this setting of a utopian world ruled by a Vocaloid. Of course.
Wow, of course.
But the people in it are trying to I think they're coming to realize they're in this like virtual reality paradise, and they're trying to escape it. So you have to pick the students you want to recruit into your party to rebel against the Vocaloid goddess or whatever and escape your prison / paradise.
Interesting. So it's the Matrix plus Vocaloids plus a lot of Japanese dreams.
Yeah, it kind of has a Persona vibe to it. Like, yeah, I really
definitely
do think
the art style and the I guess the text and font style.
Yeah, right. And then finally, RPG Maker MV, which is it's an RPG maker for the Switch. And if I knew I had only one game I could play that I'd have 100 hours plus to spend on, I guess I would be really interested in this, but I'm going to have to hope other people listening pick this game up and make really cool Switch RPGs.
You know what? If someone can make a SwitchCast RPG, an RPG Maker MV, I will review your RPG.
That is, I join you on that. I will definitely be happy to help you play and review any such RPGs people make based on the SwitchCast. I love that. That's great. And it looks like it's really good. Just from the trailer and what I looked up online, has a really cool selection of different themed, palettes and, sprites to use. And I think it uses like the full character portraits options in this too. So it looks like you can make a pretty nice looking game. So we'll see more as those details come. Pilot Sports, which looks like to be a Pilot Wings kind of in 2018. The Garden Between 2018 also. Frost, which is a survival deck building game in which you lead your group through this wilderness of frost, and you're being hunted by wolves, and there's other things. You have to worry about food, but it's a deck building game, which is, yeah, I love to see that kind of genre come into here.
That's a genre that we both really like, so I wonder how that's going to turn out.
Skullgirl's second encore was announced. That's a big one for fighting game fans. Also, I feel like there's so many people who really are hardcore into this series and been following it for a while. I don't know, I've been looking to play that for a while, but it's really hardcore. I don't know if I can get into it.
Oh, yeah, it's very technical. It's an independent fighting game built from fighting game, or built by fighting game enthusiasts for fighting game enthusiasts. So.
Yeah, it's a high level, but I mean the animation, it just looks so awesome though. Like the art for it is the top notch, and it's a very tight game as far as I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Mercenaries Wings, The False Phoenix is a spin-off to the Mercenary Saga games. It's the same world, but it's a standalone story in case people looking for more of that tactics-y kind of gameplay.
Very cool.
And finally, Taiko Drum Master has been confirmed to be coming to the West, though no date is yet clear.
I'm so down for some Taiko. I'm so down for it.
All right, JV, what are the new releases for this week?
All right, so for the games that are coming out on July 12th, we are getting Bomb Chicken, which we talked about quite a bit. ACA NeoGeo, The Super Spy. Johnny Turbo's Arcade, Express Raider. Radio Hammer Station. Star Story, The Horizon Escape. Super Volley Blast. Ghost 1.0. Philippix, Phil's Epic Adventure. And Holy Potatoes, a weapon shop? Which is awesomely named. On July 13th, we are getting Octopath Traveler. So that's a big one. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which is also a really big one. Darts Up, Super Destronaut DX, and Epic Loon. 18th. Okay. On July 17th, we are getting Sonic Mania Plus, Toho Genso Wanderer Reloaded, Hand of Fate 2, Mugsters, and Adventure Time, Pirates of the Enchiridion, which I don't think we've had that favorable a view of past Adventure Time games, right?
I have not liked a single Adventure Time game I've played on 3DS yet. I'm always willing to give them another shot, but as of right now, they've always left me feeling they were rather slapdash.
Yeah, we enjoy our Adventure Time, but not the video games, and hopefully this will turn that around.
Yes.
On the 18th, we are getting the Sonic Mania Encore Pack for people who already own Sonic Mania, the Moose Man, and Vertical Strike Endless Challenge.
All right, awesome. Let's take a breather, and let's close up shop with the Community Pulse and our System Switch before we sign off for the night. All right, Community Pulse, and we asked you guys just to, had an open invitation for questions, and you guys gave us a few little things to address here. So, JV, why don't you read one of our illustrious Discord member questions?
So, from Napping Rat, what is a good Nintendo game to release alongside the online service? Why is Mario Maker Deluxe the only correct answer? Honestly, Mario Maker Deluxe is a really good choice because if it is a way for people to utilize the online service and the cloud service in a unique way. If you can create Mario Maker levels, use Nintendo's online service to put up your levels and share it with the world, I think that would be really cool. Now, for me, I would personally really like F-Zero. I think that would be super cool. It's a well-liked game. It's something that's sought after by the hardcore audience, so it might bring the hardcore audience into it. I think it would be fun.
Okay, that's pretty cool. My not likely to happen, but something I think would be the perfect accompaniment for the online service would be Animal Crossing. I feel like it's the most casual. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
It's the most friendly way to get people into it. It's very inviting, makes everybody want to use the online service and visit each other, and in a non-competitive way. I think that would really be a friendly way to kick that off.
You know what? Now that you bring up Animal Crossing, that could potentially be one of the bombshells that Nintendo said they might be saving for later.
It could be.
Yeah, it's not big enough where it would be such a development risk to crunch that timetable, but it is big enough to be exciting to fans and potentially stockholders.
I'm trying not to get myself, if I think about that, I would be excited for it, and I just don't want to get my hopes up for something I have no evidence is coming.
I agree with you. But this one's has potential, man. It has potential.
The only other thing I could say is if they had also some of those virtual, I don't want to say virtual console games, but like the retro arcade games on there with a really good new multiplayer mode. Like, let's say if they put even something like just Mario Brothers, right?
Yeah.
And they put that on there with like a 4-player online mode where 4 to 6, whatever a number of players can all be on there at the same time trying to beat stages, and they're all bumping into each other or something. Some really cool spin on those old NES games that comes onto there that makes people realize, oh wow, the things they can do by mixing online with these old games and, really like remixing them could be pretty amazing.
I would even make it simpler, and I would say just release all those classic games, but include online matchmaking just by themselves. Yeah. Boom.
Yeah.
I think that would be a big deal, and people would be really up for that.
Dakota of Arms wrote, has your backlog become huge from playing Fortnite too much?
Yeah. We're fans of Fortnite. The Battle Royale genre is really cool. But, we have to have self-discipline and play other games too. Like Arena of Valor and Arena of Valor. I think those are really big games that we have to cover a lot, right?
I mean, for me right now, there's always something that's eating your games. There's always something that you want to go back to and play. And then when I get Octopath this week, that's it. That's goodbye to beating any other game, because I really do want to commit myself to beating it. I can't have another game that I play, I review, and then I don't have enough time to like finish it. I have to carve out time and almost like regiment myself. I have to be like, schedule, I need to beat this game. I need to play it at least like 2 hours a day, for a month and just get through it or something.
Yeah, honestly, that's the plight of being games reviewers. You really have to work on scheduling, playing the games you like with covering as many games as possible. And it's a balance that we have to live with, but it's worth it to help you guys, help you all.
Let's close things out with our system Switch. JV, what game would you like to see come to the Switch that has not been announced or may never be, but you just would like to see it anyway?
All right, so this might be a controversial pick because I know there are a subset of online folks who really hate this genre and this developer and this person, but
Okay.
My pick is Detroit Become Human. That is the most recent David Cage, Quantic Dream, storytelling game. And I dug it a lot. It's essentially dealing with an android uprising and whether, we should treat androids as humans whether we should treat them as second-class citizens because they're not, born from humans. It explores a lot of really interesting topics on that front. And, I just dig the whole cyberpunk android. It's my jam.
Very cool. All right. I'm going to go with, I'll just say the Zero Escape series in general. I was a big fan. The first one was the 999, 9 rooms, 9 persons, 9 doors, or whatever it was. But that one I played on 3DS, and that was just a great visual novel with room escape puzzles and a great story about 9 people stuck on a ship, and there's this kind of like this, battle royale game going on where basically, everyone had these bracelets that would explode them if they broke the rules or something like that, but then there was the sequel, which was Virtue's Last Reward. Same kind of gameplay, but it had this very interesting system where you basically play the prisoner's dilemma game at certain junctures of it, where you and someone will go into a room and you have to pick cooperate or, betray, and people gained or lose points based on whether you just decide to cooperate and you both gain points, but if one person betrays, they steal a bunch of points from the other person. And if anyone ever went over a certain number, they could escape. And if anyone dropped below, they'll reach 0, they were killed, and they would just inject them with like a poison or something there. And so it was this added element of drama to the typical, room escape visual novel. And it had a really cool, the way you can experience the story by jumping back to certain moments and seeing how the story branches drastically based on every one of those decisions you make.
It's actually really interesting that we bring up two very different but similar games, because Detroit Become Human does have that it's a storytelling game. So you go through each episode, and throughout the episode you have various choices that you can make that could drastically change the outcome later on. And in fact, your main characters could actually die in the middle of the game, and that affects the storylines of the other living characters.
Very cool.
And that added tension really ratchets up the anxiety and the intensity of playing the game. I feel like the Zero Escape series has something similar.
All right, very cool. Well, I'm glad to let the tension out of this episode of the podcast right now then. So until next time, everybody.
Switch it up.
Thanks for listening. You can support the SwitchCast by visiting us at patreon.com/theswitchcast and join the review crew by rating us and subscribing on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Also check out our Discord chat, where we have an enthusiastic bunch of Switch fans in a family-friendly environment. Also join our Facebook group for daily discussion and quite a bit of activity towards the Switch itself.
You can also contact us directly via email at kc@theswitchcast.com and jv@theswitchcast.com. Talk to us on Twitter @theswitchcast.
Thank you, HeatleyBros, for the theme music. And check us out on our website at theswitchcast.com, where we will post all relevant links and show notes.
Promotional considerations provided by publishers in the form of review copies of games. Explanatory. The Caligula. Blah blah blah. I get like tongue twistery sometimes late at night.